My mum got harassed by a spirit once when she was young, living in a kampong. She said she just felt really ill and cold, and everything she saw was slanted, so she was not able to walk properly. Initially, the family thought my mum was sick, but it didn't seem right, even after a few days, so they brought her to a medium. The medium told the family that a spirit decided to play a trick on my mum and harassed her, and luckily, it was harmless. The medium even said the spirit is of an Indian woman's and hooked, for lack of a better word, onto my mum when my mum was in the woods, in the Kampong. The spirit probably went away after that. Another similar story I heard from my mum happened to one of our distant relatives. This woman was a Christian and had a young daughter, probably around 6 to 9 years old. One day, the daughter fell really ill too, fever I think, and the mum just thought she was sick too. However, it lasted for a really long time, and other relatives tried to persuade her to go to a medium instead, as they thought the girl could have been harassed by an evil spirit. However, the mum, being a Christian, refused to believe in mediums and spirits and stuff, and soon the daughter passed away. She was devastated. Only after the death of her daughter, she consulted a medium with her relatives, and the medium told her that if only she had approached her earlier, the daughter could have been saved. Turns out, the daughter met an evil spirit on her way home from school. As she passed by a banana tree, the female spirit had waved at the girl and tried to take her away, and succeeded. This happened 3 years ago, when I was only 13. I was in Pahang at the time, celebrating my sister's wedding with a Malaysian man. All of my family and relatives were present to celebrate this occasion. It was a blast, with cutthroat head-banging rock music playing all day at full volume. Okay, of course I was kidding. They played traditional songs and kampongs, though it was still a blast. During the wedding night, when the ceremony or sanding was over, there was still some singing and feasting. It was held at a grass field, not far from the bridegroom's house. It was then when my mum told me to accompany one of my aunts to the toilet. I had always admired this aunt, only 25 at the time. She was so tall and pretty. I had noticed almost all the guys, including the bridegroom and me, feast their eyes on her, so obviously I was happy to accompany her. You know, in kampongs, the toilet is always at the back of the house, and it's real scary at night. While my aunt was doing her business, I secretly started to smoke, looking at the surroundings. I didn't try to peep her, as you guys out there would expect, though I had the urge to do so. It is quite far from the crowd, but I can still hear the faint sound of music. It was very peaceful here, until I heard my aunt scream from the toilet. I thought she saw me smoking, and I threw the butt immediately, cursing myself. She then ran out of the toilet. Her baju kurung rolled up to the waist. I just can't resist myself looking at her like that. Such a beauty, and my legs were shaking just looking at her white thighs. What I saw behind her at the toilet wasn't a beauty though. It looked like a man, but his whole body was black and shiny. It seemed his whole body was covered in oil. It darted away in an inhumanly way among the bushes, and in a split second it was out of sight. Before it ran out of view though, I noticed its face, which I will never forget. It had red eyes, and they were staring at me just before it took off, while I stood there with my mouth opened, looking like a fool. Maybe the thing was wondering who the stupid-looking boy was. This thing certainly wasn't human, as no human moves like that. I can't describe it, but when I saw it run, It ran in such an awkward way, almost like a spider with two legs. My aunt ran to me, catching her breath. I myself was scared, but still I consoled her. When we went back to the crowd, I told my mother about it. She too was shocked, but one of the ladies in the bridegroom's side, who overheard the conversation, told her it was an orang minyak, which is quite commonly seen in the area. I don't think anybody would want to believe a 13-year-old girl like me, but this incident gets me shaken badly when I think about it. Last year, during the November-December holidays, I was back at my grandmum's Kampong in Malacca. For me, the Kampong is a great place to explore, and there are plenty of adventures stored deep in the forests. Like any other girls, I had cousins, basically guys around the age of 16 to 18. There are like 4 of them, and we decided to go into the woods at about 12:30 a.m. to fish, as there was a river there. It sounds harmless, doesn't it? Well, we could use the fish to actually barbecue or something, right? Wrong. We were warned, even before the trip, that we weren't allowed to go into the forest at night, as it was dangerous. Typical parents, huh? And, of course, we were the typical kids, up to mischief all the time. This is what happened. We sneaked out at about 12:30 a.m. when everyone was asleep. We grabbed some burgers my cousin made earlier in the afternoon, torches, fishing rods, snacks, and, of course, a styrofoam box. We creeped out and joyfully made our way into the dark forests. I wasn't scared, but thrilled, and felt adventurous compared to hiding in a drain at night, like we did back in Singapore. We were all excited, and made it through the forest safely. We fished for about 3 hours and caught about 13 fish. We decided to leave before any of our parents found out. The forest was humid, and the vegetation was dense. All of a sudden, one of the trees shook from left to right vigorously. There was no wind, and there was no way the tree could have shaken vigorously like that. I shone my torch up on the trees, and we were in shock as to find a thing which had the features of a pocong, sitting on top of the tree with its legs folded. For those who don't know, a pocong is a ghost in Indonesian and Malaysian folklore that appears as a corpse wrapped in a white burial shroud. It was moving from left to right. We were so shocked that we ran, and I actually peed. Hi everyone, I would like to tell my experience with a Pontianak. It happened in my father's kampong at Moi. The night when it happened was raining very heavily. You can hear the wind blowing and the lightning flashing at one another. I, my small sister, and my 3 cousins were sleeping outside the room because we thought it was very cramped to sleep in one room. I think it was around 2 a.m. when it happened. At first, I heard someone knocking at the door for quite some time. I ignored it because who knows who will come at these wee hours when it is still raining outside. I keep quiet, but my heart was racing. In fact, I was shaking. I thought only I heard the knocking, but my cousins also heard it. We were very scared because after we were discussing with each other about the knocking, it started to knock again. But this time, it was at the window, right beside us. We were all getting more scared and decided to knock on my parents' room. We told my parents what had happened, and they let us sleep with them. But about 10 minutes inside the room, we heard a very heavy flapping, like a bird wings on top of the roof, and for about 20 minutes. My parents also heard and told us to keep quiet and pretend not to hear it. At last, we got to sleep at around 5 a.m. From then on, I told my parents I will never sleep outside again if I return to the hometown. This incident happened a couple of years back. I was staying at my grandparents' house in Malaysia during the December holidays. My kampong was like a typical village that could stretch a few kilometers from the start to the end. It was kind of like each house was located along a small river, and surrounding them were either forested area or vast oil palm plantations. Maybe it's kind of hard to imagine because some of us here don't have any kampongs of our own. Or it could simply be that I couldn't describe it in details. Anyway, my auntie, my sister and me wanted to go to a pasar malam bazaar one night. We decided to go there by cycling since the bazaar is a distance away, and furthermore my granny's house is a few hundred meters from the main road itself. On our way out to the main road, there's a huge concrete bridge that we have to cross to get to the main road. At that particular bridge, there was sort of a height limit clearance pole. You know the type that you see at the entrance of a multi-story car park? Them. As we were nearing it, we heard the hoot of an owl. As far as we know, there weren't any owls in the village. I mean, my auntie's been living there throughout her lifetime, and she'd sworn that there weren't any owls in the vicinity. Then, when we looked at the peak of the poles, we got freaked out. We saw a woman squatting down, and she was looking in our direction. Although we couldn't see her face, it was covered by her long hair. We couldn't help but feel like we were being watched. We wanted so much to turn back and head on home, but somehow we didn't. We just slowly went past her. As we did that, we took a good look at her and wondered, how did she get up there? If she was a real woman, she wouldn't have been able to get up there on her own, right? Even if she was, what was she doing there at this time? We decided to leave the questions unanswered and quickly cycled away. I wish to share my experience with legit proof, but the problem is the recorded data was lost on my old hard disk, corrupted and gone. So what I can share here is based on your imagination. There was a time when we visited the most active grounds of paranormal activities in Malaysia. It was a vacation trip, and our group decided to conduct an investigation in this area. A villa known as Villa Nabila, said to be the most haunted location in Malaysia. It was rumored that the owner died there and that there was a murder case in the area. Our group prepared with all our equipment and got ready for the investigation. Around noon, we set up all the equipment securely in place. As the sun set, we began our investigation. There were 4 of us. 2 were monitoring, while my friend and I conducted a surveillance sweep around the area. At 10 p.m, as we continued into the dark forest, not even the slightest sound of an insect chirped that night. We turned on our night vision camera, not wanting to disturb any spirits with flashlights. We walked to the entrance of the villa, which was completely abandoned. Having done our surveillance sweep during the day to ensure no one entered our restricted area, it was just us. No drug addicts or anyone else. Deep in the forest, 2 of my friends were monitoring from their laptops outside, watching for any suspicious activity. my friend and I continued into the dark living room. My friend held an EVP, recording each session. We started asking questions. The questions were common and appropriate, as we did not wish to offend the owner from the other world. We asked a few questions in Malay regarding the history or cause of death of the previous resident. After an hour, there was nothing on our EVP. We carried on, using an app on our iPhone called Spirit Box, since we didn't have the budget for an original Spirit Box. After a few minutes, we felt chills down our spines. The spirit seemed to be manifesting, using our energy to speak through the Spirit Box. We actually heard the voice with our own ears, indicating a higher power of manifestation in the area, along with feelings of violence and deep depression. We turned off the Spirit Box, but then heard a lady sobbing, not far from where we stood. Pointing the camera toward the kitchen area, we saw something like a white linen cloth move at lightning speed to another side. We went into the kitchen to investigate, but found nothing. My friend, who is Chinese and knowledgeable about spiritual manifestations, asked a simple question to see if the spirit would respond. We tried using our EVP app again and replaying it. We heard a voice say, "Jangan datang," or "Don't come" in Malay. We realized the spirit was warning us to leave, but we insisted, seeking clarification on what had happened there years ago. We continued exploring the area, finding a few typical bedrooms, though we couldn't make much out of them, as they were clearly abandoned and partly burned down. We imagined they were once bedrooms. Exploring further, we entered several rooms without doors, preventing us from doing a lockdown as seen on Ghost Ventures. My friend checked the left side of the villa while I went to the right. We used our electromagnetic meter in each room, hoping to detect any spiritual manifestations, as spirits are often associated with electromagnetic fields. Around 2:30 a.m., something moved outside the window where I was sitting. I asked my friends outside if they had heard any noise, but both denied it. The noise of rustling bushes prompted me to look outside, but I saw nothing. Asking if anyone was there yielded no response. Using the EVP, I sought a response, but got nothing. Meanwhile, my friend next door captured a faint orb on his camera, then heard an evil female laughter on his EVP, which grew clearer to our ears. The laughter neared, and we then saw a figure standing just on the other side of the room. It was the same figure we'd seen earlier, dressed in a white gown. Gathering our courage, we explored the room as the figure moved inside. Standing outside the room with our night vision cameras, we saw something resembling a white lady with long hair. Fearful of continuing the investigation, we decided to leave. We guided the others out of the villa. One of us cautioned against looking back, as the last words we heard were, "Mana ko nak lari?" "Where are you running to?" The laughter continued as we returned to our hotel. In the van, my friend looked out the window and saw the face of the same ghost staring at us, scaring us nearly to death. Once we reached the hotel, none of us dared to close our eyes. The next day, we all fell sick. Hello, watchers and listeners. Thank you all so much for listening. If you have a story you'd like to share with the channel, please send it to my email. It's found in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel memberships are now available, with custom badges and emojis. Only one tier at the moment, but more will be added soon, with more perks. So, feel free to check that out if that sounds interesting to you. And, as always, the biggest thank you to all of you. I truly appreciate all of your support throughout the years. And remember,
Papa loves you.